Can you start the timer too? Just because I'm curious for how long we're recording.
All right. Take
All right.
2. Oh, fuck. It's still horrible.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
All right. A special Leaving Earth broadcast. Whew, that shot was terrible. So Johnny Anchors is in the Caribbean on a little vacay, so good for him. Douchebag. So we got me and T-Rex in the studio.
Hello.
And we had a little mishap, and we started streaming, and nobody could hear us, and here we are now. Let me make sure everybody can hear us. Everybody can hear us. All right, so we're good. So we are talking about education and what we believe should and maybe should not be taught in the education system. We've had multitude of mistakes in our lives, good and bad. And we've had a lot of experience on some weird ass shit. So we're going to just put our little bit of insight on this. I am a dumbass. I will never call my wife a dumbass, but I am a dumbass. So we are both dumbasses, I guess. She said
informed.
it. Well informed. She said it herself. I didn't say it. But we thought that these specific topics should be discussed in school. And you have a list.
Well, did you first want to go through what is actually required to get the...
Oh, yeah, let's
get a degree, because most people don't
not a degree,
even
a
know
diploma.
That. Or a diploma, sorry.
Yes, a high school diploma. No regents, no nothing. You need 22 credits in total, and they are broken down as follows. You need 4 credits for English, 4 credits in social studies, which is broken down in 1 credit in U.S. history, 2 credits in global history and geography, half a credit in participation in government. That's laughable. Half a credit in economics. Also laughable. You need 3 credits for science, broken down as 1 for life science, which is your biology, shit like that. 1 for physical science, which is like physics. And then you get an extra credit for whichever way you want to go, whether you want to cut open a frog or if you really want to get down with the physics. You got 3 credits for mathematics, 1 credit for world languages, 1 credit for visual art, music, dance, and or theater, 2 credits for PE. Everybody loves gym.
No.
Half a credit for health. And then out of the 22 credits, you get a whopping 3.5 for what you want to fucking study. So, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So
a lot of choices.
Out of those subjects, math, science, social studies, and probably PE are the ones that I use on a daily basis. And that's only because I am a student of social studies and I love history. But that participation in government, that's fucking laughable. I don't know how you can that's pretty much a semester in government. You can't learn the government in a semester. I'm sorry, you can't. So that's some interesting facts. But you have an article that said that, 20 life skills that should be taught?
Yeah, so it's from successfulstudent.org, posted on March 3rd of this year. It was 20 life skills that should be taught in schools that aren't. So I'm just going to run through the 20 of them real quick, and then Beej will go through. He got some topics that he thinks should be taught in schools that he discussed with people at work.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of suggestions from work, and I just thought in the back of my head what I wanted to be taught in school, now knowing what I know now.
All right. So from this article, number 1, conversation and communication. Number 2, critical thinking. Number 3, how to handle money and invest. Number 4, dating and romantic relationships. Number 5, rights. Number 6, how to survive without certain technologies. Number 7, home repair and homeowners insurance. Number 8, vehicle maintenance, repair, and insurance. Number 9, personal credit and credit cards. Number 10, cooking. Number 11, the Bible. Number 12, manners. Number 13, gun safety. Number 14, how to find and actually get a job. Number 15, healthcare and health insurance. Number 16, self-defense. Number 17, learning from failure. Number 18, first aid. Number 19, time management. And number 20, local law. I have to say, majority of them I agree with. There's a few in there that are a little iffy. Maybe part of those topics or some additional stuff added in. But what do you think?
I like the list as a whole. There's a couple that I may disagree with, but the biggest one that I've seen, at least from the group that I asked at my work, the top one was the finance thing. I've got a lot of subtopics out of the finance, but most of it is finance. Like the first one is taxes. I think everybody should know how to do their taxes.
100%. That's something you have to do annually. And yes, they have, TurboTax or H&R Block, but it doesn't tell you all the little technicalities, all the little credits you can apply for. None of that stuff's ever in there.
So the TurboTax is a good program, and it applies all of the credits that you get, but it doesn't necessarily break down what credits you get unless you look at the long form, and nobody's going to look at that. Yeah. But I think it's important to know what you're paying for and how you're paying for it, if that makes sense.
Just to understand your taxes so you know where your money's going.
Yeah. So
especially when you end up owing and you feel like you're getting gypped because you're like, what the hell? I've been paying all year long.
Or your governor says that we're going to have a drag show for kids, and those are my tax dollars going directly to my governor to put on this drag. Or, I'm sorry, not governor. Attorney General is putting on a drag show for kids.
All right.
So that's where my tax dollars are going. So know how to do your taxes. And then we got, basics, retirement, credit and credit score, your personal finances, and financial literacy. That financial literacy part is pretty key of knowing where your money's going, even if you pay for something, but where is your money going? If you want to know where your money's going, follow us on Astro Anthology or Updates on Humanity. A lot of it is not a good place. Buying a house, car, or any capital, because there's nuances to that shit that nobody fucking tells you.
Yep.
And then the corporate structure. I think it's very important to understand once you get into the corporate world, if you ever do get into the corporate world, that you are a fish in a big ocean. You are the only one looking out for you. You can come up with a pod, and your pod is hunky-dory, but as soon as someone gets bitten by a shark, your pod breaks up real quick. I'll tell you that real quick. And nobody is working for you. Not a single fucking person in that goddamn place is working for you. HR can go suck a dick. They don't work for you. They work for the man. Everybody works for the man. Nobody works for you. Just remember that. That's my little lesson on corporate structure. It is a terrible fucking lesson, but that's how the world is, and it fucking sucks. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Unfortunately, you have to go through some shit and some experiences to learn that because you want to...
You want to be good. You want to be the model employee.
Being myself, I always want to think everyone has the best intentions. I don't want to think ill of people. I never have. So I'm like, when they tell me something, I'm going to take them at their word. But after their word repeatedly doesn't get you anywhere or doesn't get what was promised, you come to find out real quick there's things happening behind the scenes and you aren't always on their top priority for them. You're on your own top priority. Nobody else is.
Yeah, you are your own number one.
Exactly.
Everybody is looking out for number one. Nobody's looking out for you.
Exactly.
A big one that you said was critical thinking.
Yes.
We need to get this hammered into these fucking kids because they are looking at TikTok and just saying that's real and not realizing that so much shit is going on in that fucking screen. And it comes down to we've got so much technology nowadays that there's going to be there's a video of Biden talking about some chick, talking all about her ass and it's all AI, and you could barely tell that it was not Biden, except he could form a coherent sentence.
Yeah.
But that shit you got to look at and realize that, hey, this shit isn't real.
Just because there's a video of it doesn't mean that video hasn't been altered, hasn't
Yes.
been created like by somebody. We have all the technology to do that now, and unless you know more about technology, you're not really going to be able to pick up on those things.
No, and they're just going to get more and more prevalent in society, and there's just going to be more and more confusion with news stories and all this other bullshit with people just thinking this shit is true. Not everything you read on the internet is true. This podcast could be false. I don't fucking know, but you're listening to it.
Yeah.
Like, just because what I'm saying I think is true doesn't mean that you have to think it's true.
Well, and just what you and Johnny Anchors always say, do your research.
Fucking look it
Look
up.
it up.
Look it up.
Don't trust anybody's word for anything, not even ours. We try to do our research, but you know what? We could be wrong on some things. We're not always going to get it right.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to do your own research and make sure you know what you're looking at is actual truth.
For Christ's sakes, we were just live on air for 10 minutes with dead air because I didn't plug in the microphone. I'm an idiot, all right? But we're trying.
Well, while you're talking about all the computer stuff, I found a article that I thought you and Johnny Anchors would find amusing just because it has to do with your good old buddy Klaus Schwab.
Oh, fuck that guy.
So, I mean, he didn't write the article, but I found the article on the World Economic Forum website.
You a traitor?
What was that?
What were you doing on their website? You a traitor?
No, I was searching, school curriculums and stuff like that, and this was actually just one of the articles that popped up on Google. I saw WEF, and I was like, hey, let me take a look at that because they discuss it all the time.
All right, let's hear it.
So, on a direct quote from the article, and first I do want to say it was not written by Klaus Schwab. It was written by Hadi Partovi, who is the founder and CEO of Code.org, and it was written back in September of 2018. The quote, sorry,
Fucking
Bubba.
cat.
Sorry, our cat's in here today. So the quote is, our schools should teach the curriculum of the future, not just the curriculum of the past. So I read the whole article. Basically, the overview of the article is that computer science needs to be a part of the core curriculum, which I do not disagree with. And they said it shouldn't just be for after school activities like robotics and that kind of stuff, and not just focused on how to use the technology, but how to create the technology. Because if you know they were discussing, if you know the coding and all that stuff, I mean, I agree. You will be able to spot the false stuff on the internet a lot easier if you know that.
Yeah, you could track the sources pretty quickly.
Exactly. So, I mean, the reasoning for saying that this should be part of the curriculum is that obviously robots, AI, automation, they're no longer something of the future. They are here. And they will eventually cause mass unemployment. It was found, a statistic that I got from the article. It was found that 51% of activities across all jobs in the U.S. are highly susceptible to automation.
Oh, for sure.
That's saying more than half of everybody's jobs is able to be done by robots, AI, automation.
And that shit's coming quick.
Yeah.
People don't understand.
So if you don't know anything about technology, if you haven't been taught anything about technology, how are you going to keep up?
You're not.
Unfortunately, yeah, you're not.
You're going to be a detriment
I do have to
society.
say, with this article, I mean, I did agree with most of what it was saying in the article.
Well, yeah, but the problem with that is, okay, so that's high and dandy, and I do agree with it somewhat. But if you get all of these kids coding, what happens if the power goes out?
They're screwed.
They have nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things on the list of things that should be taught in school is how to survive without certain technologies. And I think that that's right on par with Also teaching, they need to know technology, but they also need to know how to live without technology.
They need to know how to change their fucking tire on their goddamn car.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I was talking about. They need to know how to read an analog clock.
Yeah.
Like, what happens
They
when
need
the
to know
power
how to
goes out, you
sign
have a
their
digital
fucking
clock.
name. How do you not know how to sign your name?
Yep,
How do you
exactly.
sign with an X?
Yeah. Things
Like-
as simple as that. There was a lot of things it was talking about that, you know, there are things that you need to know how to do. Yeah, changing a tire and all these things that we say are like trades, but if nobody's doing them, the skills are going to disappear. And then what?
Hey, my sink sprung a leak. How do I fix that?
And then another thing
I'll
was
call a
talking
guy.
about was all the e-readers.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't collect books or read paper books and the e-readers can no longer connect to the internet or whatever happens, all of that information that was in books is gone.
Just God.
It's like, what are you going to do then? Because then that's just generations of books and everything that no one's ever going to know about if, you know, the power goes down or whatever happens and we don't have all these technologies, then you're screwed.
What if it already happened? What if it happened before?
What do you mean?
And all of the books that we've ever found were just the books of yore because they were already living in a technological era that already had the books on the computers and they just got wiped out.
Well, now you're getting into your different
Sorry, that's
realms
Astro.
and-
Sorry.
Yeah. You're getting on a whole different topic there, which we could just go on for hours about. So it's probably best not to go down that tunnel.
Yeah. The self-defense one I think is great. The gun one I think is phenomenal. I think if we get the gun safety one, then all of our gun problems in this country go the fuck away because everybody will know how to use one.
So the self-defense one, I was actually thinking about it, and I would have, you heard me say, nope, on the PE. If it was self-defense we were learning, I would have been much more apt to do that. I didn't want to play baseball. I didn't want to play dodgeball. I didn't want to play football. Like, I'm not a sports person. But if you were teaching me things like self-defense or your jujitsu that you love to talk about,
Love
like
jujitsu.
you teach me those kinds of things that can protect myself, that can help me live a balanced, like,
There's nothing like
core
choking
life.
the life out of a man, I'll tell you that.
These are things that, why weren't these options? Why was I just forced?
Question.
Yeah, why was I just forced to freaking play dodgeball? Like, what the fuck was the purpose of that?
I know you're not going to agree with me on this, but you know what I just found out?
What?
They're not teaching fucking wrestling in PE anymore.
Oh, that's weird.
Isn't that some bullshit?
No, that is really weird.
Like, that is the only way I knew that was a thing.
Just knowing how much of a important thing it was for you and how much it got you through school, I think that's really sad that they would take that away.
Like, what the
And I'm
fuck?
not saying like all the things that we did do in PE were bad. They just weren't for me.
Yeah. And that's, I think they did do a good job in, stupid ass cat. Is he out?
Nope, he came this way.
This fucking dumbass. But I think they did do a good job of giving you an array of sports so that you could, if you didn't like baseball, you could go to badminton. If you didn't like basketball, you could go to pickleball.
But if it was my school, we just did them each for like, do this for 2 weeks and then this for 2 weeks. It wasn't an option of doing this or this.
Yeah, that's
It was
true.
You have to do these specific ones for X amount of time. Like, how many of the guys hated the fucking square dancing?
Everybody hated the square dance.
Okay, but that's one I can remember that guys specifically hated. What if you felt like that about 75% of the things that they were making you do in that class?
Yeah.
And then they want to make fun of girls are using their period for an excuse to not be. Of course I fucking am, because you're forcing me to do all these things I am terrible at. And like, do you know how many memories I have of standing up, swinging to try to hit a fucking baseball? I don't have fucking hand-eye coordination. The whole class is watching you try to hit this fucking baseball. Do you know how embarrassing that is?
Yeah.
And I was forced to do it because that's something that the schools think is important. When, you know what? If you were teaching me self-defense, we're all doing it together.
But would you have gone to the class that just says exercise?
Yes, honestly. When we had chances to go to the weight room or the exercise room, I went there. Because then all eyes aren't on me. I don't want to play the sports where all eyes are on me.
Well, I think that's also a way to toughen your skin, if you will. But in my opinion,
though. It didn't for me though.
Yeah,
it just made
I
me
can
more
see that.
embarrassed to be in front of people.
I can see that. The other one that I have on here that it could tie into some of yours, was behavioral sciences. So what I mean by that is your interactions, like you said, communication, I believe.
Yeah, communication and conversation.
Yeah, that would tie into behavioral sciences. I think we need to get back to the art form of human to human interaction rather than human to phone to human interaction.
100%.
Because this is not healthy.
That teaches you to read facial cues, pick up on tones. Like, these are things you can't do over the internet, over text messages. You can't.
You know how many fights you almost started?
Me?
Through text messages?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, no.
You know how many fights? Because I thought you were in a certain tone in these text messages, and it turns out you were just joking. Like, so many times I was about ready to come home and just light you up. And then I realized that you were just laughing. And I was like, oh, my bad.
Oh, yeah. And
but
I've gotten,
happens.
emojis can help a little bit, but you don't get the full effect. No. You can't tell when somebody's being
sarcastic. My stupid man ape brain can't pick up what you're putting down. I just can't. Mm-hmm. Two different styles of brain. Can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think communicating one-on-one, person-to-person, in-face, like, these things need to be taught. There's common courtesies, like acceptable behavior that is just being lost because people think it's okay to just...
Acceptable behavior? What the fuck is that?
And it goes down to number 12. That was manners. Like,
oh, Jesus Christ. What the fuck are those?
Exactly. Nobody has them. Like, what happened to respect your elders? And yeah, okay, some people are fucking assholes. This isn't a solid rule for everybody.
Yeah.
But in general, if you don't know somebody...
Be a nice fucking person.
Yeah. How hard is it for your default to be nice?
Yeah.
Why is your default automatically on the attack?
If anything, that causes more fucking pain and stress and fucking makes you live a fucking worse life.
Exactly.
And be nice. People are nice. If you're nice, they're nice. Open the fucking door for the next person, asshole.
And stop assuming because somebody...
Hey, and you know what else? Sorry to cut you off. And you know what else? The motherfuckers that let you turn when you're waiting to turn, I better get the fucking thank you wave. If I don't get the thank you wave...
While you're driving?
Oh, my fucking Lord. There is a problem. Yeah, just give me the thank you wave, asshole.
It's just common courtesy. It's things that I thought growing up, like, I thought everyone just knew these things.
I got my ass whooped if I wasn't polite.
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck happened?
And all of a sudden, this is just isn't... And yes, like I said before, some of this is on the parents. But also, like, teach people how... acceptable behavior in society.
Yeah.
And not behavior that is helping an agenda.
Yeah.
You want behavior that's genuine, like being kind-hearted people. Because there's no longer any kind-hearted people. People are greedy and vindictive and just want to bash everybody else. You just want to be right. You just want to be seen and heard, and you feel like you're the most important person in the world. Guess what? You're fucking not. You aren't the most important person in the world.
The worst detriment to yourself that you can be is thinking that you know everything. I will tell you time and time again, I know nothing. Because I don't. In the grand scheme of things, I know fucking dick.
There's always more to learn.
And there is always new advances. There is always something else to be taught. There is always something else to be seen. There's always something. You can never be stagnant in this fucking world.
Well, one of my favorite things that you've always told me is every day you want to learn something new, even if it's something tiny. And more people need to be like that because now everybody just goes around thinking that they know everything. They don't need to learn things. People cannot possibly be smarter than them.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's gone through different shit. Everybody knows different shit. You can learn a lot just from talking to your next door neighbor. Like, just hear other people's experiences. Because guess what? Going through different life experiences teaches you different things.
For sure.
And that something as simple as that, having the communication skills to talk with people will help you have better manners, learn more things, become a better person overall.
Oh, I don't care. It's online. Do you mind if an ex-felon comes to the house? He wrote a book.
I don't know.
I want Johnny Anchors and me to interview this ex-felon that wrote a book.
Okay.
I saw him on another podcast.
Maybe we can discuss off air what type of felon.
Oh, he was a drug dealer.
Oh, okay. I was like, are we talking about convicted murderer? Because I'm not.
No.
Jesus.
He got convicted for drugs. He was selling crack cocaine.
Okay, you hesitated. Did he kill
Well,
someone?
I mean, some things at the top might have happened, but I haven't read his whole story. But
Okay.
he seemed like an interesting guy, and he's from the area, and he wrote a book. So I wanted to talk to him.
I'm not close to the idea.
But anyway, back to
Discuss
education.
it a little bit more off air.
Sorry. But the communication between person to person, I think, will enlighten so many people's eyes. If you can just sit down and have a conversation. I'm not saying you say something and somebody screams and yells back at you. That's not a conversation. That is just, craziness. That is all that is. You need to sit down and actually have a conversation. Listen to the other side. Have a back and forth of, this is why I think this way. Please prove me wrong without yelling at me. If you can't prove, I'm gonna combat you, but I'm not gonna combat you aggressively. I'm just gonna combat you with, this is why I think this way. If you can convince me, you've convinced me. But I need to have the conversation in order for that to be convinced. You know,
People need to learn how to have a friendly debate.
Yes.
There are things you and I don't see eye to eye on.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never hate you. I would never speak ill of you. I would never not be with you or anybody else. I would never not be their friend because they didn't have the same opinions as me. That's a way to shut yourself in this small little circle of people.
That's
and
exactly
not to,
what everybody's doing.
Yeah, and everybody wants to preach, especially in schools and everything. You want to preach diversity. You want to preach inclusion. How the hell do you expect to have those things when you can't have a friendly debate with somebody and agree to be friends even though you don't have the same stance on a situation?
Yeah.
Then you don't have real inclusion. You don't have real diversity.
And I think everybody is like this, and both sides are playing against each other, where the introverts don't want to fucking talk to anybody, the extroverts don't want to talk to anybody except for extroverts, and nobody's co-mingling. No lefty is talking to a righty, no righty's talking to a lefty, no black person's talking to a white person, no white person's talking to a black person. On the grand scales, we all have friends. We all have people that we talk to, but at the grand scale, these fucking people think that we're all idiots and that we don't talk to each other.
On the grand scale, you got to stop letting the government, the higher ups, the people who actually run this fucking world create a goddamn divide between us, no matter what that divide is.
Yeah.
Because just because you can label yourself or label somebody else as one thing doesn't mean that's the only thing they are.
Correct. Let's start judging people by their character, not by their their, what am I trying to say? External properties.
Yes.
That's a good term.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are they a good person?
No.
Or are they a bad person?
No person fits inside a box. Yeah. Nobody.
All of you are trying to put a square peg in a triangle hole.
Yeah. It is not
In
possible.
order to do that, you got to cut it in half. I don't want to cut myself in half.
No, exactly.
So I'm not doing it.
All right. Well, back to the what should be taught in schools. Was there anything else that we didn't? I know. So when I was looking at this, I never really even thought about it. How rights, and then the local laws as well. So yeah, we all learn the Bill of Rights, but we don't break it down to how that affects us in like a day-to-day situation.
Right now, our First Amendment is under attack, and nobody fucking cares.
Yeah.
Because I don't think many people understand what it does for us.
No, and that's what I'm saying is, yeah, we learn that Bill of Rights. We go through it. We have to memorize it. Memorizing something isn't the same as learning it and understanding it.
Memorizing is not the same as comprehension.
Yeah. And in schools, they want you to memorize so you can put it on that piece of paper. You pass the test, you're good to go. That's all they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not looking for you to actually dive into these topics. They're not looking for you to in-depth question things. And that's what needs to start happening in the schools.
Yeah.
Because things aren't going to get better if, like, we can't solve the world's problems if we don't start questioning the root of these problems.
And that's the problem. Everybody wants to just throw a committee at it. And then that just means your tax dollars are going to fund some other bullshit committee that's never really going to find out what the fuck the problem is because they're making bank off your tax dollars because they're part of this committee.
Yeah.
That's how the government works, people. Like, look into it. Look it up because it's fucking asinine the way our government works right now.
It's just sad that not everybody, but a lot of people still think that most government officials are looking out for your best interest. Just like in the corporate world, the government world, they're not looking out for you.
No.
They're looking out for number one. Number one is them.
That's
it.
You are the rats in New York City compared to them.
The only thing they care about is to keep you happy enough to get their goddamn votes so they can stay in office and stay in control.
Yeah, fuck their promises. They can promise the world, not deliver on anything.
Exactly.
And still stay in office.
And nobody does anything about it. Nobody questions it. Oh, they can come up with one excuse. This didn't get done because of XYZ. And we're like, oh, okay, well, they'll do it next time.
Case in point is legalization of marijuana in New York.
Yeah, it's been 10 years in the making?
I don't even know, but it's fucking craziness. And we still don't have a weed shop in our hometown.
No.
Like, what the fuck?
There's only a handful statewide. And then there's a lawsuit going on currently that's, forcing other people to not be able to open.
Yeah.
It's just
fucking ridiculous.
And then the people who are selling it out of their small shops and stuff, because this is fucking ridiculous that it's taking so long. Now you're talking about finding them up the ass.
Yeah.
So what? Just shut down all of these small businesses. That's good.
Yep.
So we can only have big corporations. That's the way to go.
Yep. No more mom and pops. Fuck it.
Yep. That's looking out for the people for sure.
Yeah. Fucking assholes. I hate those ones.
Another one back on topic again. Another one on this list, first aid. So why do we have to pay for CPR classes? Why is this not just something that's taught in school?
That's a good fucking question. It's a good question.
Like,
because we don't care about fellow man, because that's what's ingrained to us.
Johnny Anchors and Bear went after King Arthur passed away. They went and took a CPR class because they were like, well, we should probably know how to do this. But why? Why is this something that isn't just readily taught to you in school?
Yeah.
Why are the CPR instructors not like a couple days out of each semester, like a certain grade you're in, they come to this school on a couple days, this school on a couple. You're telling me we can't work that out somehow so it's something that you're taught in school? That
for sure should be worked out. Cause
yeah.
How many people could be saved by that?
That is a life-saving technique. That is a life-saving measures that everyone should know how to do, yet you need to pay to learn how to do it. That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. That's fucking brilliant. I don't know why we're not taught that.
Yeah. General first aid. Yeah. Like how to,
clean a wound
or how to stop bleeding. Yeah. Like these basic things. Why are they not being taught in your health classes?
Well, you learn to stop, drop, and roll.
Okay, so if I'm on fire, I can take care of it.
I don't know about you, but I have never set myself on fire.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've played with fire. I am a bit of a pyromaniac.
I used to be as well.
And I have never set myself on fire. So
yeah, no, I've never even come close.
I'm not really sure.
But they ingrain that shit into your head. Stop, drop, and roll. But someone's choking, I don't know, stare at them and hope something happens.
Is there a doctor in the house?
Yeah.
Because I don't know shit.
Yep, look around and hope somebody else fucking knows what's going on or you're having a dead person on your hands.
No, better yet, take out your phone and record it because that's what we do.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Oh, my God, he's choking. I'm not going to do anything but take out my phone and watch this man die in front of me.
So you can say you saw it.
Yep.
Good.
It's proof I was there.
Yep.
Till the power goes out.
I did. So cooking was on this list as well. I do know I remember taking like home ec class, but they teach you what? Like a recipe or two? They don't teach you the basics of
But I think there should be more time in home ec, to be honest. And I think they should have, honestly, and I know this is probably going to sound sexist, but I think they should have a female and a male home ec. I think that they should have, again, you can choose between. I don't care which one you choose, but they should have like a sewing, a cooking, whatever you want to call it class, and then like home plumbing, home electrical, home drywall, home.
In all honesty,
or have them teach them everything.
Yeah, no, that should
That's
be
a good
taught
skill.
everything. Because what about single people? Like, you need to know how to do all of those
Yeah.
things. You're just thinking about it from like a marriage aspect
Yeah,
of
that's
basically
true.
you do around the house and I
Yeah.
do all the cooking. So, but no, like, you know, people who are single, they need to know, like, everybody should know these skills, even just the basics. And I'm not saying you got to get into specifics. You got to, you know how to cook the best meals or know how to freaking rerun all of the electric in your house. No, but teach people how to set up a freaking light, what am I trying to say?
A light switch?
A light switch,
Yeah.
power outlet. Teach them like how to cook basic things. It doesn't have to be anything fancy.
If you can't make an egg sandwich, you got a problem, bro.
Like how to boil water, because apparently, I don't know, that's hard for some people. Cook them or teach them how to use some knife skills. It doesn't have to be perfect, but know how to hold a fucking knife so you don't cut your damn finger off.
Yeah.
Like these little things that,
Pop, she's talking to you.
and so I just don't understand why they want to discuss, that's what things that need to be taught in school and everything, but it's always about stuff they want to remove out.
Yeah.
Or whatever's going to fit the agenda. Why aren't we preparing these students for life?
Yeah.
Why?
And that goes into what you said, the Bible.
Yes.
So I don't necessarily agree with the Bible.
No.
But I do agree with some sort of religion studies.
I was thinking more of
Spirituality.
spirituality, because
yeah.
that isn't necessarily religion. That's just spirituality is just knowing that it's helpful to believe in something.
Yes.
They don't need to tell you what to believe in, but believe
That's a
that
better way of putting it.
there are things beyond your control.
Yes.
And it's things like hope, things like faith. They don't have to be in a specific entity, like in a
Yes.
specific deity. It's just let people know that there are options. There are different, even if you don't want to do religions, you just want to be a spiritual person, there's spiritual enlightenment. Like, there's so many things that you could talk about that aren't religion that people just don't discuss. How to better yourself, become a whole person.
Yeah.
Like,
Fucking cat.
a cat comes back in.
But there's 3,000 gods you can choose from. 3,000.
Yeah.
Pick one.
Yeah. And you
But
don't even
believe
have to
in
list all of
something.
them.
Yeah, just
But
believe in something.
Let these students know they have fucking options. And I get it that they don't want to talk about religion because some families are super religious and want their kids to be in that religion. Well, guess what, parents? You need to fucking let your kid make that decision themselves, because forcing a religion on somebody is not going to help that person. They need to truly believe and value the things that they're worshiping, or you're pointlessly worshiping. They're not actually worshiping these things. They're just saying the words that you're telling them to say. They're doing the things that you're telling them to do. You're basically just creating a cult.
Well, look at what happens to prisoners. You strip their entire life away down to bare bones. You have an 8 by 8 foot cell. You have meals 3 times a day. You have exercise time. You have bunk time, and that's it. Why do you think when you're stripped down to that, so many people run to religion? Because you
What
gotta
else do you have?
because you gotta have something to hope for.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in there for life, you gotta hope that there's something after this.
The biggest
So that's the only thing that I think we need to learn is hope.
The biggest question every human being has is, what is the purpose of life?
Yep.
Spirituality will teach you what the purpose of life is for you.
Yes. That is a perfect way of putting it.
So what else is on this list? So I guess so. There was dating and romantic relationships. This is gonna tie into our second topic, I believe. So before we go into detail about that, I just had a list of a few things that are being done in schools currently that I personally don't think should be
here we
going
go.
on.
I don't know this list. Let's go.
This list I just made on my own. Things that, obviously I have not been in school for a while. But the things that I've heard, that some schools are doing. I'm not saying all schools are doing these things. But I just feel like these should not be being done.
Yeah.
So my number one thing is erasing history. Whether you agree with what happened in history or not, you cannot just put the magic eraser to it and say it didn't fucking happen. Because then you are doomed to repeat yourself.
Thank you. I have been saying that for years.
Number 2 was banning books. So I understand having some books restricted to certain age groups. 100%. But no book, unless it is sexually explicit, should be banned from schools. And we will get back to the topic on the sexually explicit books in a moment. Number 3, changing math. Can you enlighten me how the fuck math changed from when we were in high school? Because whether you do it from from process A or process B, you're getting the same fucking answer. So why did you change it and make it more complicated?
Thank you.
Number 4, biased opinions. These political agendas and things like that, and community agendas, need to fucking stay out of the schools. You are there to teach them the basics of how to survive in the world, of how to be a decent human being, of how to get through this thing we call life. Stop trying to push them in certain directions and let them make fucking decisions for themselves.
Whether they're good or bad. You need to make bad decisions.
You have to make mistakes so you can learn from them.
Yeah.
So many mistakes we have made in life. And guess what? It happens. Everybody is bound to make mistakes. When you take away your children's ability to make mistakes, they are going to think that life is perfect. And the first time that they find out that it isn't, they are going to fucking fall apart.
Hard.
And then number 5 was just the simple of eliminating cursive. I'm sorry, but how many times just in buying our house did we have to sign our name?
Enough that my hand hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And I will not say where I work, but there's some things I have to have students sign. And when I say, hey, sign this, they print their name. That's not a signature. I write on the paperwork, it says print, then sign. If those two look identical, you're just printing.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I don't care if your signature is a scribble, but
Yeah.
why are we not... And you don't need to teach them cursive forever, but teach them the alphabet in cursive. They don't have to write novels in cursive, but teach them how to do their fucking signature, for Christ's sake.
It's fucking ridiculous that they're taking that out of the curriculum. Not that it's beneficial in my life, but I don't understand how you cannot teach it.
If we stop, so they stop teaching it, that means eventually we're going to have this whole generation that can't sign for things.
Yeah. That everybody's going to be on the thumbprint, though. That's what they're banking on.
That's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
and sometimes, you know what? It's just a thing that's been taught in history, and it's part of, our history to know how to sign things. The fucking Declaration of Independence is signed.
Yeah. We're going to soon not be able to know what those names read.
Exactly.
How sad is that?
Why take that away? How much time was it fucking affecting?
For real. I don't know.
What, it was too hard for people?
Yeah, probably.
It's just pathetic. Just because something's hard doesn't mean we shouldn't have them do it anymore.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
And they're supposed to be preparing. That's what I heard my whole entire high school career is we're preparing you for life. We're preparing you for the next step, college. We're preparing you for going out into the work world.
Real quick, because you just reminded me. How many times in school did you hear, you're not going to just walk around with a calculator in your pocket? And now we totally walk around with calculators in our pocket.
Like, how stupid. Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I was not any more prepared when I entered 9th grade than when I left in 12th grade.
Yeah. No.
I still didn't know how anything fucking worked. My teachers still crammed their own shit down my throat. That's why I didn't go half the time, because the first time that I fucking raised hell in, like, history class saying, I don't think it happened that way.
Or ask a question of why things happen.
Yeah, and boom, I get shot down. I'm not going to your class no more. You obviously don't want to teach me. You just want to cram facts down my throat.
Exactly.
So
if you
I'm
can't
not
have
going.
a meaningful, if you're a teacher and you can't have a meaningful discussion with your students, you shouldn't be a fucking teacher.
I think that's
Don't
where...
just open your fucking book and read from it and say that you're doing a good job, because anybody can fucking do that.
I think that's where school choice comes into a big factor, because I think that if I was to go to private school, we would be loaded. Because I'm pretty sure that they would have let me learn at my own pace and ask those questions.
Well, and I believe, because I think we've had this conversation before, you were like me. And I was in the classes where I just picked up on shit quickly.
Yeah.
So now, well, the rest of the fucking class is spending 3 weeks on the topic that I got on day fucking 3.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, well, let me just doodle on my notebook and draw for days, because I am so goddamn bored.
Because Jimmy can't realize that he needs to carry the fucking 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so and I know, and I get that there's a shortage of teachers. There's a shortage of staff.
There's a shortage of everybody.
Yeah, every job in the fucking
But we got
US
a population problem. Sorry.
Yeah. Every job right now, there's a shortage. And guess what? Everybody's having to pick up slack. Does it suck? It fucking sucks. But you figure it the fuck out. And maybe if you were teaching, real life skills in schools, people would want to be teachers.
Yeah. Maybe if the teachers that so I had one teacher that I absolutely loved. He was my actual earth science teacher. Turns out he was smoking weed and he got fired. But he was my favorite teacher. He made it interesting to go to earth science. In earth science, you're learning about rocks.
Yeah.
What the fuck is interesting about learning about rocks?
I don't know. I enjoyed learning about the rocks. So.
Like, what the fuck? They're rocks. But this dude, made it engaging for me, for my whole class. He made it interesting. He made interactions just phenomenal. If I had a bunch of those teachers, I might have thought about becoming a teacher. But because I only had one and the rest of them were cunts, I don't really want to be a teacher.
And I'm not trying to give any disrespect to teachers. Like, the ones out there that actually care about your students are trying to make the world a better place. Good for you. But there are so many out there that are just reading from the textbooks that don't actually give a shit and are just they're just there to make money. And I get it. That's what most people go to their jobs to make money. But I always, in my mind, thought teachers, you want the world to be a better place. Right. You're raising the younger people to do better things, to make the world great.
Most societies in the history of humans leave that to the elders.
Yeah.
If you think about it, we're bestowing this great respect to you, and you're doing shit with it. And that's not all teachers. Like she said, that's not all teachers. And I'm not trying to badmouth teachers. I think a lot of it has to come down with you're not getting paid enough to fucking care.
Oh, I 100% agree that they're not getting paid enough.
You got to go buy your own fucking supplies. That's asinine to me. I don't understand how that's fucking possible. And then you get fucking shit pay. You get shit hours. You got these dumbass fucking parents calling you at all fucking god end because they're fucking available at 8 p.m. even though you clocked out at 4. I get it. But we have bestowed this great power to you, and you're throwing it back in our face. And it's fucking terrible to see, but somebody needs to take blame for the kids that are coming out these days. And it's not all on you. It is 30% on you. 70% of this is on the fucking parents. So don't think it's all on you. Actually, you know what? It's probably 25% on you, 5% on society, and then 70% on the fucking parents. That's the breakdown of these badass kids that are out here telling their moms and dads to go fuck themselves. Like, this is fucking asinine. If I did that, I wouldn't be able to talk for a week.
Yeah. I think
My
I said
mom
whatever
literally-
to my mom once, and I got, I was in fucking trouble for saying that.
I got punched in the face by my mom. I was 14, punched in the face.
Yep.
It hurt her more than it was true. It hurt her way more than it hurt me.
She's crying as she hate you.
Yes. But my mom punched me in the face because I was being an asshole.
Because you fucking needed it.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with her decision to punch me in the face. I was being a fucking asshole. But that is the type of relationship you need to have. Like, hey, you're fucking up. You don't listen to me? Oh, you're still going to talk? Fucking shut up, asshole, and punch him in the face.
Yeah. All parents realize you might want to be friends with your kid. You're not their friend.
Yes.
You are their fucking parent. Act like it.
You know when you can become their friend? When your kid turns 25.
When your kid is out of the house and has their own place, then be their fucking friend. But while you are raising them and they are under your roof, they better fucking respect you and you make the fucking rules. That's how it was for me growing up. And I gotta say, me and Bear are pretty fucking awesome human beings.
I'll attest to that.
And we loved both our parents with all of our hearts. We love them both.
Faults and all. They have faults.
Yeah.
Well, we all have faults.
Yeah, in the moment when I was a kid and Dad was yelling at me, screaming in my face, and I'm crying, of course I'm upset. But guess what? It made me a fucking better person and not a fucking dick and not take everything for granted and not be an entitled little bitch.
You know what it did? It taught you that there were consequences.
Yes. There are always consequences for your actions. Always.
Always consequences.
Speaking of consequences.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
So we're going to go back to the what they said should be taught in schools was dating and romantic relationships, along with, I said, only books with explicit images, sexual images should pornographic images should be banned. This brings us to kind of a touchy subject that has been in the news lately. Even locally. I don't know if maybe you want to run down what has been happening locally without saying the name of specific places.
So locally we have this school district that has been closed down 2 times in the last 3 days because there have been a bomb threat, I want to say called, but it wasn't called. It was messaged into the media that all 5 schools, elementary, middle school, high school, all 5 schools in this district had pipe bombs planted in them because there was the book, This Book is Gay, in the high school library. That is what's happening locally. So far, I have not heard that any bombs were found.
Nope, they said they had the dogs sweep the schools. Everything was clear. It was...
so somebody at work told me that too, and you know what my response was? Yeah, they did that in Die Hard too, and the building blew up.
Okay, well,
so
they're basically
I'm
saying
just
that
saying.
the threats weren't credible. They
Yeah.
did searches, they did everything. They pulled the kids out of school.
I think it's a bold move sending the threats to the media, though. That's pretty bold.
Yes.
Like, you're not sending it to a kid. You're not sending it to a parent. You're not sending it to a teacher. You're not sending it to a principal. You're sending it directly to somebody that is definitely going to let everybody know.
Yes.
So it could be a tactic.
So here's my take on this. And you know what? If I say something to offend somebody, don't mean any offense to anybody.
She kind of does a little.
No, I really don't mean any offense to anybody. And I'm going to try to state this so I get out my clear message and it's not twisted that I am homophobic or transphobic or any of those things. I have not read this book. This Book is Gay. I have not read that book. From what I've heard, it could be very beneficial to LGBTQ plus adolescents, people, in that community. That I'm not saying there's not beneficial stuff in there. What I have also heard is that there are sexually explicit images in this book. I am not opposed to any literature being in the schools. What I am opposed to is when you have images illustrating to students how to give oral sex, how to 69, or even how to just do regular anal
Sodomy.
or what?
That's called sodomy.
Sure, whatever.
It's a politically correct term.
Anal, vaginal penetration, any of that. When there are images depicting how to do these things, that's when I have a fucking problem. Because at that point, you are saying that it is okay to put porn in the school libraries.
Yeah,
and if that's the case, then just start throwing the fucking Playboys on the shelf.
Yeah, go get that penthouse.
I'm not saying that kids don't have access to this shit on their phone. Of course they do. But it is the school's responsibility to teach them things responsibly. All of the sex books that I can remember growing up, they were very awkward, uncomfortable images of anatomy and how it worked. There was no penetration shown.
At any point.
In anything.
Hetero or
yes,
gay or
if
lesbian
this
or
book
anything.
is, I'm not even saying, if it's sexually helpful to read the book for the LGBTQ plus community, that's great. The images are not needed.
Yeah.
And if you can't have a book out there that doesn't have the images in it and just has the words in it, then that's a fucking problem. I'm not saying that the book should be banned for anything that it says in it, because I have not fucking read it. But if it is true that these images are explicit as they're saying, then the book needs to be removed, and one that is age appropriate should be put there. I'm not saying don't have books on the LGBTQ plus community or ones that are geared towards them. I am 100% for having those books. The images are not needed. And if anybody cannot see that the authors of these books are putting these images in to cause controversy, to get more sales on their books, then you are a fucking idiot. Yep. Because this person isn't putting that book with these images out there to better the fucking world. They want to get talked about. They want to make money. They want to sell their fucking book, and they want fucking attention.
They want money and they want attention.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
And here is where I'm going to bring up a topic that we personally have gone through. We have a lot of experience in it. And I think it's a conversation and a topic that would super beneficial to the LGBTQ plus community. Is instead of
anybody really.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying if that community wants more books that are geared towards them, I feel like this one could be super better. I just feel like that community is a big portion of the people that deal with this issue, as well as people like us.
Yeah.
Why aren't we having information and books and studies and things being taught about the infertility in this country, and different ways and different procedures that help you create a family? Yeah. Whether it's a family with 2 moms, 2 dads, 1 mom, 1 dad. Like, I don't care what your family consists of, but guess what? There are so many people in this world who can't naturally conceive that could use more education in the schools about what your other options are.
Yeah.
All I can remember from health class is, if I have sex, I'm going to get pregnant, and boom, a baby. I left school thinking getting married and having a baby, given. These aren't things I have to think about. I just have to find the right person, and boom, my life's going to begin. Guess what? That ain't the fucking truth.
At all.
And that was not even remotely discussed in health class.
Nope.
Why? Why is this such a taboo subject? And I personally know a lesbian couple, a gay couple who are working
Seeking.
toward, or yes, trying to have a family. They're starting IVF and they don't know any of this information. There's other couples that are male and female that we have known that have gone through IVF. They don't know this information. Why isn't it taught in school that 1 in 4 women are going to experience a miscarriage? I didn't even fucking know what the fuck a miscarriage was, or that was even a possibility when it first happened to me.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's a problem.
That's insane to me.
You're going to teach me how everything works, but you're not going to teach me
What could
that
happen?
it could not work.
Yeah.
That you could have all the right parts and do all the right things, and it might not work.
Yeah.
It might not be a possibility. I don't understand how.
And that stat's going to go up because of these fucking shots. It's just fucking stats, people.
So
I'm not even trying to be a conspiracy theorist on that. It is statistically known.
There is a lot of studies being done. So I tried to find, good scholarly articles and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of them were obviously hard to read because it's a lot of medical terms. It seems like the male fertility is being affected a lot more by the COVID vaccines. Mm-hmm. Although you have a hard time finding anybody who's willing to
do it in a cup.
No, who's willing to say like these are facts because it's so new.
Yeah.
It's going to be years.
It honestly could just be what's happening to our population.
Oh, 100%.
Like, it could not be just the COVID vaccine. It could be just our population is getting more infertile.
So I have a stat.
Oh, here we go.
From the Population Reference Bureau.
That sounds official.
Yep. And in 2020, so this is not even discussing the vaccine. This is, before the vaccines were out. The total fertility rate. So that is, the total fertility rate is like the total fertility rate in the world. So it's how many children each woman would roughly have.
Okay.
So the total fertility rate dropped to 1.64 in 2020, which was the lowest level ever recorded.
Yeah, so infertility's up.
And yet it's still such a taboo topic.
I don't understand that.
I don't understand
why like we're going to have a whole episode on just our we're kind of having it now. But the fact that nobody fucking I had to pry it out of my mom that my sister had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about this? Why is it so taboo?
Why are we focusing on such stupid shit being controversy, like whether sexually explicit images should be shown in the school, when you can't even discuss the fact that the infertility rate is through the fucking roof and women have miscarriages and not everybody gets to have a baby. Like, those seem like much more pressing topics.
For sure.
Than these
I don't understand
stupid fucking images and books and all this other bullshit that is the high topic of the health classes and everything. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. There are much more pressing topics that
100%.
should be discussed.
100%. And we can dive into our situation a little bit. So,
so I also, just really quick before we do that, because I was trying to figure out, because I know I heard a lot about the vaccines being what was decreasing the fertility rate. So I looked into what could change fertility patterns.
Yeah.
So just a few of the top things I found they did over from 1950 to now, when there was decreases, what caused them. One was economic decline. So that
makes sense. We ain't got no money for us, so why the fuck would we have kids involved?
Exactly. And it didn't change the overall fertility rate, but it just changed the timing of the fertility rates.
Okay.
Then there was social factors such as postponement of marriage, increase in educational attainment, and labor force participation, mainly for women.
All of that is for women.
Yep. And this decreased the overall fertility rate because women are doing more things.
Yeah.
And some are deciding, you know what, I don't want to try to add a kid into this mix, and that's 100% okay. But it also decreases the fertility
We
rate.
will also have another episode on the masculine and feminine qualities and what the fuck happened to them, because that's a huge topic for people right now.
Yeah.
And we will get to that. I think Johnny Akers needs to be a part of that.
Oh, 100%.
Because he will definitely have a situation.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with that. I'm sorry, and I'm not a feminist, but the moment you guys wanted equality ruined families.
I don't disagree with that.
It imploded the family aspect of existence.
You have less time for families. It's as simple as that.
You need to be a boss bitch, and you need to go get that money, boo-boo. And that's what happens.
And then the other contribution that changes fertility patterns, the age of women, the overall woman population. So obviously, if a higher rate are in this age range, like the younger age range, they might not be having kids.
Yeah.
So it just depends on, how
now
many.
You're waiting for your career to pop off before you pop out a kid.
Yeah.
So now you're actually 32 and you're considered a geriatric pregnancy. Bet you didn't know that. But you're geriatric at 32, bitches.
Actually, no, it's technically over 35, I found out.
Go fuck yourself. It's close enough. You old bitches.
Nice, thanks. So yeah, that just fluctuates the fertility rate over time as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't, decrease it. So yeah, you wanted to talk about our situation.
Yeah.
I did just a brief overview of what unexplained infertility is, which I know that you have discussed on air before.
Yep.
That is what we were technically diagnosed with. I
don't know if I've actually put the term to it, but I've alluded to that fact, but I didn't know the technical term.
Yeah. So after I want to say 8 years ish of trying to have a family, lots of tests,
lots of miscarriages,
ectopic pregnancies, you name it, we most likely went through it. We were diagnosed with unexplained infertility. So I just did, because a lot of people don't know what that means. We didn't know what that means until we were in the situation. We still don't know what that means. So I kind of just wanted to, before we dive off into a deeper conversation about our situation.
Yeah.
I just want to do an overview of what unexplained infertility is.
Okay.
So when infertile couples or individuals have undergone all the appropriate tests and no cause for infertility is found, it is diagnosed as unexplained infertility. They also call it idiopathic infertility as well.
That's fucking discriminatory. That sounds terrible.
It does sound terrible, but that's what it's also called apparently.
Fuck these doctors, bro.
So,
idiopathic pregnancy. That's what that fucking dude said, and I flipped the fuck out.
Yeah.
I flipped the fuck out. I didn't I owe that dude an apology.
So, you don't really owe him anything.
That's true.
We don't really owe any of those doctors anything, honestly.
That's true.
We've given up enough.
Did you hear the definition?
Yeah. So, I know you were looking for the statistic, or we were talking about it the other day. About 15 to 30% of infertile couples are diagnosed with unexplained infertility.
That's insane.
So the reason because I was like, holy shit, that's a big range. The reason the estimated percentage widely varies is due to the fact that experts disagree on what constitutes as standard infertility testing. So
they don't even know how to test for this shit?
So they know how to test for it, but they disagree on what constitutes the standard. So some places do more testing than other places, or do different testing than other places.
So we might have to go to a different doctor? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily. What I found, this is the basic of what all places go off of.
This is all new to me if you didn't know.
So the basic that most infertility clinics go off of, and then they may add additional tests to this.
Okay.
So that might be their standard, is with more testing.
I get you, yeah.
But so the American Society for Reproductive Medicine's guidelines for standard infertility testing call for Number 1, a physical exam. Number
I'm fat.
Number 2, review of medical and sexual history. 3.
I got 2.
What? Oh, you don't have to tell everybody
I don't give a
your
fuck.
stats. 3, ovulation assessment. So
That ain't me.
is your cycle regular kind of thing.
Hell no.
4, a hysterosalpingogram, or HSG, or the worst fucking pain in the whole goddamn world.
She's a baby. I'm kidding.
You better be kidding.
I'm fucking kidding.
So an HSG, for people who don't know, is when they take dyed saline solution and inject it into your uterus and fallopian tubes, pushing it till it comes out the ends of the fallopian, or comes out the ovaries, basically, to cause your uterus to contract. And this way they can evaluate and assess the condition of your ovaries, your fallopian tubes, and your uterus.
Hope you have a nice doctor, because we didn't.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The next thing on the list is a semen analysis,
Yeah, buddy.
or doing it in a cup.
Doing it in a cup. Shit's awkward, bro.
Ovarian reserve evaluation. So that's checking your ovaries for, how many eggs are being stored and all that information. And in some cases, a diagnostic laparoscopy, which is when they make a small incision in your abdomen and check all your organs from the outside.
Do they do that?
Nope, that was going to be our next step until we decided to call it quits.
Gotcha.
So unexplained infertility, they say, most likely involves issues with poor egg or sperm quality, or problems with the uterus and or fallopian tubes that aren't identifiable during normal fertility testing. Some physicians believe... Sorry, I can't read my handwriting. Some physicians believe the cause of the unexplained fertility diagnosis is that the tests that are performed have missed subtle defects due to the imperfect testing methods. So they're saying...
Bro, this is fucking me up. You realize this, right?
I think you'll be all right. I mean...
But this just makes me feel like we got to go to another doctor.
But this is all places. This is standard for all places, which is unfortunate. But yeah, so they want to say most of the reasons for unexplained infertility are either poor egg or sperm quality, which
Nope.
What I said. Well, it could be egg quality. It's not sperm quality.
Well, we'll get to that.
Or problems with the uterus or fallopian tubes that aren't identifiable. But other physicians are saying that it could be something else, since their testing is not a perfect method. So they might not be picking up on subtle little things. And then basically the 5 top treatments for unexplained fertility. And I don't like the word treatments. That's the word that they used when I was looking at the overview. However, treatments makes it seem like it's going
Curable?
to fix it.
Yeah.
And these are just...
Ways
let's
to
say...
cope.
No, let's just say they're options to try, but you still just may end up with nothing.
Yeah.
So the first one is intrauterine insemination, or IUI. That is where they will manipulate your hormones to get your cycle going correctly, and then they will take the sperm sample and inject it up into you to make sure it's getting where it needs to go. This they usually use when, slow swimmers or low sperm count. This is usually the route that they go. In vitro fertilization, that is IVF. This is where they do an egg retrieval, take the eggs, they do take a semen sample, they will inseminate the eggs outside of the uterus, keep them in an incubator till they're matured for, I believe it's 5 days. Once they hit the level of maturity, then they will insert 1 or 2 into the uterus. When they know that, they may manipulate everything with the hormones, make sure you're on the right cycle, blah, blah, blah. So that's IVF. Ovarian stimulation. So if your egg production's low, they'll give you drugs to stimulate your ovaries to get more eggs. Timed intercourse. So making sure you're doing it at the right time of the month. Or lifestyle changes. So, you're too fat or you eat like shit. Change that.
Yeah.
So those are basically their treatment options for unexplained fertility. And that's the overview I have. So I don't know if Beej, you want to get into
Our situation?
Yeah. Give a
Our
little
situation
backstory on
fucking
our
blows,
situation.
but here we go. So, ever since we got together, we knew we wanted kids. There were certain circumstances, i.e., we were living with King Arthur for 5 years of our marriage. The first 5 years of our marriage, we were living with him. So, not really a conducive place to have a child.
Oh, well, we can't have our own house.
Yeah, so 4 years into that, we say fuck it, and we start trying anyway because we didn't want to wait till we were old.
I did also discuss this with King Arthur because it was his house.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I had to sit down with him.
You probably told me, but I forgot.
Yeah, I had to sit down with him and basically immediately started sobbing and said, Dad, I am supposed to be a mom.
Yeah.
I know that I'm supposed to be a mom, and I cannot wait any longer because prior to my marriage to Beej, I had one miscarriage. So I was concerned that would happen again and we'd be delayed even further. And King Arthur said, sweetheart, I know you're a mom. As long as you guys are doing better financially, and getting on the right track, then I don't see any reason why.
Which we were.
Yeah.
We were headed in a good
We
direction.
very much knew in the next year or so we would be getting a place of our own.
Correct. So we start trying. In the midst of this, one Christmas, King Arthur got me a dog. His name is Dark Knight. I love that fucking dog. He's a little neurotic, but that comes later. So we tried to put a collar on this fucking dog. And he got his bottom jaw stuck between the collar and his chest. And was spraying shit everywhere all over King Arthur because he was freaking the fuck out. Meanwhile, while this is all going on, T-Rex is in the shower trying to get ready for work or coming back from work, something like that.
I had gotten back from work.
You
also left out. We did know that I was pregnant.
Yes.
At this time. I was, want to say roughly 6 weeks.
6 weeks pregnant, yes. So she is pregnant at this time. So she's up in the shower getting home from work. Hears the commotion. Comes downstairs in a towel. Steps on the cat. On the stairs.
Correction. I slipped down the stairs, then squished the cat at the bottom of the stairs.
Okay.
Not squished to death, just squished.
So that happens. While she's pregnant, she falls down the stairs, falls on the cat. Not sure if that was the reason, but this is the ectopic, correct?
Yes. And no, I don't believe that is the reason.
So it turns out, so we go to the hospital because she starts bleeding and having cramps. The next day. Go to the hospital. They do an ultrasound. They find out that there's actually 2 eggs in her fallopian tube, and that is what they call an ectopic pregnancy, where they get stuck in your fallopian tube. While they are checking for this, I am standing by her side, as I should be, but I see the flickers of light on the fucking screen. Now, some people will tell me I'm crazy, but I know that I saw the fucking flickers of light. I saw both of them. I knew what the fuck I was seeing. I just didn't know where I was seeing it. Turns out that that's an ectopic pregnancy, and this is why I will always defend the right of abortion, not as in a daily birth control, but my wife had to go through an abortion because if they developed any further, they could have killed her.
And when he says abortion, it wasn't the
Sucking
It wasn't
out.
a procedure.
Yeah.
I had to get the shots injected to basically dissolve and stop the pregnancy. This was just really quick. By far the most painful, not so much emotionally. I mean, I guess emotionally as well. But it was our first pregnancy together. When they gave me these 2 injections, what should have happened was it would stop the heartbeats, it would dissolve the cells, and clear my fallopian tube. I would get my period. It would flush everything out.
Meanwhile, let's just say...
What actually happened was it stopped the one cell from growing but did not dissolve it, and the second continued to grow. I had a week or so in the most excruciating pain I've ever been in. Ended up getting admitted to the hospital. They said if it does not resolve itself overnight, we are going to have to remove your fallopian tube. And I'm going to say luckily, but that's probably not the right word. Both embryos quit growing overnight and actually began to dissolve by morning. So I was still in a lot of pain. But yeah, this landed me on bed rest for about 2 months.
Yeah.
Because I had to wait till my levels went back down to 0, so they knew it was completely dissolved. Otherwise, I could have gotten a ruptured fallopian tube, which, can kill you. So
Yeah, I think they said 15 minutes. If I didn't get you to the emergency door in 15 minutes, it would be done.
Yeah.
So, and not to mention, since the time that I saw the little beating hearts, what I say are the little beating hearts on the fucking screen, to the time that we found out that we're going to need the shots was about 3 hours. From the time that we found out that we're going to need the shots to them administering the shots, about 2 minutes. That's how much time we had to cope. Like, immediately, it was, hey, you're going to lose this, and, hey, it's gone.
yeah.
Like, it still hurts me to this day that it was that fucking fast.
Yeah.
That everything that I ever wanted was there, and now it's gone.
Wasn't. And that's no fault to, we're not saying that's any fault to the doctors or anything. That was just the reality of it.
Yeah.
Is they're already to the point where they're stretching your fallopian tube. We need to administer these shots now. Like, we don't have time to think about it, talk about it. Like, we need these
Bend
to start
over,
shrinking.
we're doing this now.
Yep.
Because it was an ass shot.
Yes.
And yeah.
So as I'm sobbing, not from the pain, but sobbing because of the emotional, I have the 2 nurses, because they have to give you 2 shots at exactly the same time, 1 in each ass cheek. And B just sitting there, holding my hand while I get these shots. And then we have to go home and tell King Arthur what happened.
Yeah.
And it was devastating for all of us.
Yeah.
Especially because I believe it was the week prior, maybe a week and a half prior, we had just let all of the who were going to be the grandparents know that they were going to be grandparents, and then had to be like, never mind.
Sorry.
So
yeah, that was I don't know if that was the roughest one, but that was a bad one.
It was. When you're not prepared for it, and I guess the other ones, the only reason they got easier is because we knew that it could go in,
going in.
I was told after my first miscarriage, prior to Beach, that 1 in 4 women experience a miscarriage. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. Your next pregnancy could be perfectly normal, so don't be too concerned about it.
And that's what we were told on this one is, hey, you had twins. It's unfortunate, but it does happen. They get stuck. They got cocked in the fallopian tube because they were, I forget the name of it, fraternal?
Yeah, it was 2 separate eggs.
2 separate eggs, but they were coming out of the same tube, or same ovary. So I think that's still something. I don't know. But they were coming down the fallopian tube. They got stuck. Your next one should be fucking normal.
Yep.
And it wasn't. The next one was a miscarriage, correct?
Yep.
That was the one before the cruise?
No, I think there was one
in
before
between.
that.
Yes. Honestly, they all meld together now.
They do. The only one that I remember specifically time frame is that first ectopic.
Yeah.
Then after that, it was just a
cascade of fucking failure.
Run of miscarriages, chemical pregnancies, which for anyone who doesn't know, a chemical pregnancy is technically you are pregnant, but the only way to detect the pregnancy is through the hormone levels because it's not developed enough, and then you lose it before it becomes developed enough to see on an ultrasound or anything like that. So that's a chemical. I honestly don't even know the number of chemical pregnancies. I stopped counting, and they would basically told me to wait 2 to 3 weeks after my missed period before we would, check the levels. And by then I would lose it. So I would come up positive on the pregnancy test, but when we went to check the levels, they would always be already declining.
So all of this is before we go to the quote-unquote specialist, where we're just finding out on our own that this isn't going to come as easy as I thought it was, as much as we were told that it was going to be easy.
It happened so many times in a short period of time that my OBGYN was like, you need to go see this fertility specialist, basically.
So we go to this specialist, and this is, I have a lot of problems with these specialist doctors because this is what you specialize in. You're supposed to have the fucking answers. And most of the time these fucking doctors don't know dick. But we start going to this fucking specialist. We go through all these fucking tests. She gets that fucking horrid HSG test that I can't even be with her. I have to sit outside. And all she says on the way out of that place was the doctor was a fucking asshole.
The doctor kept telling me, and it was a male doctor, and I'm sorry, and no bashing on male doctors, but in this situation, I really think it should have been a female doctor, because there was...
Who was our specialist? Our specialist was a female fucking doctor.
But
I don't even know who the fuck this guy was.
He was one of the other doctors in the clinic. They were on rotation, and they, weekly would switch up the rotation of who did, procedures and stuff. So he just kept telling me, I need you to sit still. You're not sitting still enough. I need you to relax your muscles. You're not staying relaxed enough. Mind you, I am in excruciating pain. And I am trying not, as I've stated before, have very high anxiety. I'm trying not to hyperventilate. I'm doing my best to stay still. And instead of saying, you're doing a great job, just a little bit longer, just stay a little bit more still and we'll get this over with, it was, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. You're not doing good enough.
Yeah.
He was very cold, very...
No bedside manner.
No bedside manner whatsoever. So not only was I in excruciating pain, but I left there in tears because I was just like, how dare you talk to me like that when I'm in emotional pain, physical pain, and you can't have any empathy towards me whatsoever.
Totally agree. But so we go see these specialists, we go have all these fucking tests done. I do it in a cup. She has all of these tests fucking done. I can't even explain the amount of shit that went up her hoo-ha just for these fucking tests. It is unbelievable how much she went through just to find nothing out. So we get, our specialist tells us that we would be great candidates for IVF.
No, we started with IUI. Well, we were going to start with IUI.
We were going to start with IUI?
Yep. Because I got you those shirts.
Oh, yeah.
So we were going to start with IUI, which was where instead of them doing egg retrieval and all of that, they would just manipulate my hormones properly with injections and whatnot, and then insert the semen, with their tools or whatever to get it up where
Turkey
it needed
baster.
to go. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And the reason we didn't was because I had another,
Chemical.
no, ectopic
Ectopic.
that they couldn't, it was a suspected ectopic because my
Couldn't
levels
find
were
it.
all high, but they couldn't find where the egg was.
Yeah. I forgot about that one.
Yep. So
yeah.
she, after that, was like, okay, since this is your second ectopic, we're going to go IVF so we can implant the embryo right in the uterus. We can avoid the fallopian tubes altogether.
So that was a terrible fucking experience. If anybody needs help with shots, I got you.
Oh, and mind you, not only that, but before we did, like after they had done the HSG, they found that one of my tubes was blocked.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to go in to get my tube unblocked on the one side. So that was a great procedure. That's basically them just they sedate you, but not fully. So I was in and out of it. And they basically force a bunch of fluid up into your uterus and through your fallopian tubes to push out whatever is in there, is basically what they do.
Jesus.
So that was
I forgot all about that, too. I have a terrible memory about this shit. I probably blocked it all out.
Probably.
But, so that happens.
I cannot.
Yeah. So that, well, yeah, because it's happening in you. So then we go through the IVF process, which is the reason why we're in financial peril, because this shit costs an extreme amount of money. And you
thousands having to be upfront before you can do before you can start the IVF, like, I want to say period, but process, yes. You have to pay X amount upfront, non-refundable.
Not covered by insurance.
Not covered by insurance, which most of the drugs that you have to use, which there is a lot, are not covered by insurance. So you have to pay out of pocket for all of those.
Yep. So this was months of injecting my wife in the ass with hormones.
And stomach, remember? Those
and
ones burned.
stomach, yeah. I forgot about the... See, I block all this shit out.
Those ones burned bad, and I would have to put an ice pack on.
Yep.
And then I had to use those estrogen patches, which I was allergic to. So my stomach broke out in a rash.
And our fucking doctor forgot about those.
Yeah, and we had to go between Wegmans and Walmart at one night trying to see who had them because we needed them for that night. It was a hot mess.
And then we get to... So I do that for a couple months. We finally get to the egg retrieval process. And
mind you, up into the egg retrieval, I am going in multiple times a week for them to do ultrasounds. And not just ultrasounds where they push on my stomach. No,
vaginal.
The vaginal ultrasound were sticking wands up me because they had to check my...
if your uterine lining was thick.
No. They were checking my ovary stimulation, making sure that you have to wait till the eggs are at a certain... Because normally you just do one egg a cycle and they push it out. Well, these drugs stimulate you to produce multiple eggs at once that are going to be ready all at the same time. So then they can retrieve them all at the same time. So then you have multiple chances to get a good embryo.
And the number we're looking for on these retrievals is like 5 to 10.
No, 10 to 15.
10 to 15. How many did you get?
30.
So... right from the get-go, they fucked up your medication.
Yep. So somehow they were unable to tell on the ultrasounds that I was overstimulated. And when you are overstimulated, basically how they said it to me is you get quantity over quality. So all 30 of my eggs, that was fantastic that we got 30. That's way more than they're expecting. They were crap quality.
Well, we get 3 that are semi-viable?
So, yep, you have to wait till... They will inject them with the sperm. They watch them mature over the next few days. And I believe it's on day 5 that they're fully mature. And you can only keep the ones that fully mature. Well, from our 30, because they were all shit quality, only 2 fully matured. We ended up with a girl and a boy embryo.
Yep. So then we got those embryos. Disheartening news that we only got 2.
And mind you, with when we get this disheartening news, because they overstimulated my ovaries, I am in excruciating pain, and we have to wait till my following cycle in order to do an egg implantation because they need to let my ovaries heal because they overstimulated them. They're taking longer to heal, and my recovery time is longer.
So we wait that period of time, and then I'm again injecting her in the ass and the stomach, making sure that she's getting the right amount of hormones to trigger her body to accept this egg into her uterus. Mm-hmm. So then we get the
transfer.
We get the egg in her. Everything's going okay.
And we still doing the injections and everything after the egg is implanted.
Just making sure
and
everything's
on top
good.
of it, I then started to have to do vaginal hormone injections of like a cream sort of thing on top of it.
That was estrogen, right? That was the estrogen they were pumping you full of?
I think it was progesterone as well.
Progesterone? Yeah, progesterone. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm. So, and mind you, the progesterone injections in my ass, it is an oil-based injection, so I have to heat the shot up in my hand so when he injects it into me, it doesn't go in as a hard, solid lump and hurt my ass super bad.
Again, anybody that's listening to this that wants some help with injecting, I got you. I am a master.
Or has any questions about the IVF process,
reach out. We will.
Got you.
We want everybody to know because going into this, it was fucking horrific
and overwhelming and emotional. The more support you have in this situation, the better.
So we get the first one. She's doing all the shots. She's doing all the progesterone. They said the first one was the liquid. We didn't do the second one, right?
No, we did both.
We did both? Mm-hmm. The first one was the liquid coming out of your fallopian tube, or was that the second one?
That was the second one.
The second one? So what was the first one?
The first one just didn't take.
So
you wait X amount of time. It's supposed to implant into your uterine wall, and then once that happens, your pregnancy hormone levels increase. Well, mine started to increase like it wanted to implant, and then just fell off the map. So they were super low the first time I went in to get my levels checked, and then they were 0 the second time.
Meanwhile, this is like $25,000 down the drain for the first one. Mm-hmm. The second one, we do all the same shit. We get her ready. They implant it. Turns out that there is a liquid coming out of her fallopian tube that is toxic.
I did get that fallopian tube procedure to open it. It re-blocked itself. Something happened and it closed back up, and now there's this fluid in it. Apparently the fluid that can build up in it when it spills back into the uterus is toxic to the embryo. Mind you, at this point, before they put the second embryo in, we did not know that my fallopian tube had reblocked itself. We didn't know that was in there because we hadn't done the HSG since way back when, before the egg retrieval itself. Yep. So.
And all of the testing didn't show that there was a liquid coming out. All of the testing didn't show that her fallopian tube was fucking, because we're going through testing. Well, you
can't really tell because I just was doing a lot of ultrasounds. Yeah. Ultrasounds, you can't see that the fallopian tube is blocked. You need to have the fluid going through it to see that.
But we're 40 minutes away from our fucking doctor, and we are going there sometimes multiple times a week.
Up to 3 times a week.
Like, what? And they couldn't tell us dick. Nope. So we go through this whole fucking process, spend a shit fuck ton of money that we don't have. And there's still nothing to show for it.
Well, so that second one, it did take, because my levels started climbing, but slowly. And they basically, every time I got another level taken, they were like, okay, well, we were hoping it would go up more than that, but it's still going up. Maybe it's just a slow grower. We'll see. And then Christmas Eve rolled around.
Yep.
And Ashley, T-Rex miscarried again. Yeah. So Christmas Eve, the miscarriage happened. We were supposed to go back to the clinic after Christmas, and I called them and let them know, I began bleeding, and we went back, and sure enough, numbers had dropped significantly. And that's when they decided, okay, before we do another egg retrieval, let's do another HSG, because it was such a lovely procedure starting. So we did another HSG, and that is where they found that my tube had become reblocked. And then there was fluid in the tube. And that was their reasoning for the second one not taking.
Meanwhile, the only solution that they had was to take out that fallopian tube, which was also not covered by insurance, so it would have cost us a fuck ton more money because it's for reproductive purposes, which is not in insurance. If you don't believe me, look in your insurance policy.
It's also
optional.
Infertility is considered a pre-existing condition.
That's yes. Another one too.
So that is why they do not cover the majority of the things that you need to do IVF.
So even if we did go that route, we would shell out a shit ton of more money. Now she's only dealing with one fallopian tube. We got to dish out another fucking fuck ton of money to do all of the drugs and all of the therapy and all of the shit we just did.
Plus, they wanted to run the other test where they scrape my uterine lining, which is, from what I've heard from my friend, is even more painful than the HSG, because they said the timing of implantation of the embryo could have been about 12-ish hours off, and the only way to tell, for some reason, is to scrape the hell out of my uterus.
Which is also another fuck ton of money. So they wanted to do all of this. My wife has already been through a fuck ton of shit, and the heartbreak was just too much to handle anymore. So we were broke already. We finally have our house. We're finally on our feet. And now we're asking people for money again because all we want to do is start a family. So we get over the fact that, hey, maybe this won't ever happen for us. And then we start, hey, we're parents. We just don't have a fucking kid. Let's get us a fucking kid. At no cost, let's get us a fucking kid. So
I forgot about this. I don't know why. All of a sudden, I was like, what are you talking about?
So what's the next option? Adoption.
Which you'd think, hey, there's lots of kids out there and babies out there that are abandoned that need homes. How hard is this process going to be?
Very fucking hard.
And very fucking expensive.
And very fucking aggravating. So the beginning portion of this is hunky-dory. You fucking you have to get an attorney because everything has to be legal and everything.
Mind you, so there's 3 different levels. You go through an adoption agency, you do the adoption agency, all of that. That's your most expensive level because you got to pay the
40
agency.
to 50 grand.
Yeah, it's outrageous. You can do...
Before you get the kid.
Yeah, you can do international adoption. That's about middle of the road because the agencies over there apparently aren't so expensive, whatever.
Yeah.
Or you do private adoption, which is where you just buy an attorney. You're going to basically advertise yourselves as adoptive parents, and you have to do all of the work that the
agency would do.
Yeah, that the agency... I've blanked on the word. Yeah. The agency would normally do. You have to do it all by yourself.
So something that they will not tell you, and I'm going to flat out tell you, that adoption is the most corrupted fucking thing in the whole goddamn world. It is not to be mistaken for those text messages you're getting on your phone. The adoption is way fucking worse. If you look into the fucking actual statistics of adoption, far more people are getting frauded than people are getting children. It's fucking disgusting that these people are preying upon these kids.
Honestly, before we started the process, I didn't realize that there were scammers for adoption. Like, I never would have fucking known that was a thing.
Never would have known that was a thing. So we start going through the process of getting an adoption, trying to buy a kid. That's what you're doing. You're trying to buy a kid. So we get the attorney, all hunky-dory. Our attorney is great. He sat down with us, told us the steps. It seemed like it was going to be a piece of cake, and in 18 months we were going to have a fucking kid. We get the home inspection done, which you need because evidently you need a home inspection to know that you're a good parent, even though you don't need a home inspection to have sex to have a parent. So I don't know what the fucking logic is behind that.
And you also have to get letters of recommendations from like 4 people that have known you for X amount of time. Like,
it's fucking ridiculous. So we did all that. And then we get down to the portion of advertising ourselves. And this is where all of the money comes in. Because evidently a platform like Facebook that has figured it out, another platform like an adoption platform will charge you $900 fucking a month to use that same algorithm.
And mind you, if you need a website created, that's like $200 to $300 to create your own website that people can go to find you to get information. And this is the link that you're going to put on all of your profiles that are on any adoption website or any sort of way you advertise. You need it to all link back to something that has your information, and not just your information, but also tells the story of what you've been through and why you want to adopt and why you're going to be a good parent. You have to go above and beyond to make yourself known that you are just these amazing fucking people that will do amazing fucking things, because you're in competition with all of these other couples that are probably just as amazing and just as freaking competent as you. So you gotta hope to God that your page is flashy enough that everyone's gonna fucking notice it.
And then you're looking at articles like, what should be in my profile picture for an adoption ad? You know what you should be? You should have a fucking dog. That is number 1 on the fucking list. There, I put it out there. Have your fucking dog in the goddamn picture. I didn't know that was on the list, but it's number fucking 1.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
It's very weird, but that's what
once you get
moms are like, ooh, a dog. They can take care of something. I don't know.
So then you get to the portion where you put out the money, you're advertising yourself. Maybe you did like we did and put some stuff on your car just to get your word out there. And people did ask about the fucking decal we put on the truck.
Although no one ever went to the website. They just said, what's that website?
Yeah. And then, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then walked away. But anyway, so you get through all that.
Don't put it on people's car like King Arthur, who are road raging hard and flipping people off, and then they have their adoption website on the back of their truck. Yeah. Had to
or
take
your
that off
friends
of
going
King Arthur's
90
truck.
on the throughway, what are you going to do? But we may or may not have been in the car. Who knows? But so we get through the whole advertising thing, put ourselves out there, explain our whole situation, and then we start getting text messages. And we are through the fucking roof.
Like, who thought this would happen in like 2 months? We would get somebody contacting us.
It was insane. They were sending us exactly what we wanted to hear. They have a kid.
Pictures of ultrasounds.
Pictures of ultrasounds.
Like due dates and all sorts of stuff.
Turns out, this bitch was on actually on fucking TV on Dr. Phil.
I don't remember her name.
I don't, and I wish I could blast her. I'm gonna tell everybody.
I don't have my phone on me, or I would look it up.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck that bitch. She doesn't even need the clout. But everybody's gonna know what I fucking said to her. So it turns out that this bitch, for some reason, can't have kids of her own.
I'm gonna say, really quick, just after watching parts of the episode. Speaking with her, she definitely has some sort of mental illness. Because
that's an excuse. I don't give a fuck.
She has to, and I'm not. She's not. As far as I know, she's not diagnosed with anything. But in my mind, she fucking has to, because if she's just that horrible of a human to do these things, I just can't wrap my fucking brain around that.
I can't either.
I can't.
But this bitch can't have kids, and she preys upon adoptive parents.
other
And-
couples who can't have kids. Instead of relating, why don't I just attack them all?
Yes. So she starts texting us. She calls us. We have conversations with this bitch.
So, for anyone who's like, well, how the hell did you not know it was a scam? She is going on to people's Instagram pages, their Facebook pages, whatever social media platform she can find. People that she's friends with, or she finds friends of her friends, finding real pictures of real ultrasounds, real pregnancy photos, and then she's using these people's names in all of their information and then coming up with a story. So if you look these people up, they look like legitimate people. Legitimate. Like, you can see the same pictures they sent to you are on the social media. Like, it looks, and then you can look back and before they got pregnant and see their whole timeline. Like, so you're like, okay, this is a normal fucking person.
So we've had conversations with her, and then shit just didn't start adding up. We started asking questions because we found out.
We were discussing about having lawyers talk.
Yes. And we just found out that this scammer existed, that scamming and adoption was a thing and prevalent, like very high.
And thank you to all of those message boards that on the adoption websites we were on. A lot of the adoption community is aware of. She is the main one. Obviously, there are others, but a lot of people are onto her shit. They will post immediately. She's going by this name. She's using these photos. And for anyone wondering, the people that she's stealing the information from or the photos from, multiple of them have tried to file maybe not lawsuits, but charges against her. And they're saying because it's on the internet, all of the police or anyone who is notified is saying there is nothing we can do.
It's all public
and unfortunately, these women that she's taking the photos of, these are actual pregnant women who are keeping their babies, like want their own babies. Like, they're not trying to give their babies up. And she's just making up these fucking stories using all of their information.
So the first time she contacts us, she's just kind of ghosts us. And being new to the adoption world, we were just like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then she contacts us again. And again, we fall just head over.
Each time it's a different story, different names, different phone number, different area code.
And we fall again for it. And then we start say, okay, why don't you give us a call so we can get to know you a little better? And we realize that it's the same fucking voice. And then when we realize that it's the same fucking voice, she just starts calling us, telling us that we are terrible people, that we are never going to get kids.
She called me a fat bitch and said it was pathetic that I was trying to buy other people's babies because my body isn't good enough to have a baby of its own. She said some really, really messed up shit. I tried to take the high road. I tried to tell her, like, I understand that you have these problems too.
She was trying to psychoanalyze
basically, yeah. I was trying to not be a complete bitch back to her, but basically be like, find something else to do with your time. Like, why are you trying to traumatize people who are going through the same exact shit as you? And clearly that was not getting through to her.
And I did not take that route. I went the more aggressive route, which made the phone call stop, which made her literally hang up to me. I got all of my ranting out, and I'm going to tell you what I told her. I said a lot of things before it, but the last thing that I said that made her hang up was, I'm going to find where you live, because I know you live in Georgia, and this still is out there, bitch. If we find you, I will sit you in a chair in your living room, kill your whole fucking family in front of you, and then burn your fucking house to the ground. There is no need for that fucking atrocity to still be walking this fucking earth. And it is a fucking threat. Come arrest me.
She has done this to so many couples, as far as, like, because no money's ever exchanged is, I think, basically why they're saying you can't do anything. But there has been couples that have gotten rooms ready, who have bought in all sorts of things for this baby that exists, but not in the sense that they are being told.
Yeah.
There's no baby for them. There's never. And I don't, I can't wrap my head like what she's possibly getting out of doing that to people. What anybody could possibly get out of hurting people who have already been through the fucking ringer.
Yeah.
Like, they're already at such a low mental, emotional, sometimes physical state, and you just feel the need to bash them more? How sick of a fucking individual do you need to be to do that?
I would love to know the statistic of fucking suicides that are going through the adoption process. Because I bet you it's fucking high.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because we lost, again, this is what drove us into bankruptcy was the fucking adoption.
We were, on the cusp of it after the
IVF. And then I miraculously just withdrew my whole entire 401k, and we're still paying for that now. Yeah. And we used that money and still drove us into fucking bankruptcy, trying to still have a child. And still we are coping with we are never going to have a child unless something miraculous happens and we just bear one ourselves, because we don't have any more money to give. We want a child desperately, but we can't just keep throwing money at the problem when there is no solution in sight.
And that's my biggest thing, is that we've been given no answers of why. And I can't fathom going through more emotional and physical pain to just be left again with a big fucking question mark.
Yeah.
If it was a guarantee, I would spend all the money I had
we would sell every possession we own. I would stop doing everything. I would live on the fucking street if I could give my wife the fucking child she deserves.
I would do anything to get a baby if I knew it was guaranteed. But I cannot take the emotional roller coaster, the financial roller coaster of maybes, what ifs, possibilities any longer. And, you know, I've come to terms with it. It was hard. The last, I want to say probably the last 2 to 3 years, I think, is finally when we stopped. Well, yeah, because we were doing the adoption stuff during the beginning of COVID. Once, all of the scamming and stuff happened, there was at one point where Beej he wasn't himself any longer. He became very depressed and reclusive, and that's just very unlike him. And I
wanted to kill myself. I'm not going to lie. I did. There was the fact that I will not have anything to bestow anything to hurts me deeply. And it still hurts, but
luckily
each day it gets a little better, but it's
I
always
know
gonna hurt.
My husband better than my husband knows himself. I made sure he got help when he needed it. I saw that he wasn't able to cope on his own and he needed the assistance. And I think it was seeing him in that state that I decided, like, we can't do this anymore. We've given all that we possibly can to this, and we need to just figure out how to move forward and what our life can be like without a child. Those were always our plans for life. And it's weird being 30, what were we, 30, 31-ish, and having to basically say, well, everything I thought I was going to get in life isn't going to happen. So what do we do now? But in all reality, I think in the last 2 years, we've done a lot of self-healing. We've helped each other.
Got a fuck ton of animals.
Got a fuck ton of animals to fill the hole in our heart. And you know what?
Doesn't work.
It doesn't. Nothing is going to fill that child hole in my heart. Like, there's no way to fix that. You just kind of wear it as a war wound and move on. That's pretty much where we're at now. You live to deal with it. And I think that we can have a pretty good life even without kids, and now that we got Johnny Anchors and Bear, I hope to God that they have zero struggles that we had, because I know that it is from, unfortunately, our side of the family that these issues.
Bear won't hack it, and I fear for her.
We will be there for them every step of the way. I very much hope that they don't have to go through any of this, and I am hoping they have a bunch of little kids, and we got nieces and nephews that we can just...
That guy.
Yep, that guy and his...
That gal.
And that gal. We have their 3 kids already that we get to visit and see, and, embark our... whatever word I'm trying to use. Bestow our wisdom, too.
There you go.
And when Bear and Johnny Anchors have kids, we'll have even more. And you know what? Then we get to take the kids and play with them for a day, and then bring them back when we get tired of it.
Yeah.
So,
hop them full of fucking sugar, and then give them back.
Here's a bunch of ice cream and candy. Go see your parents.
Bye-bye.
We're going to get a good night's sleep.
But in all realness, it's something that you deal with on a daily basis. You find out that your friends are getting pregnant, and yes, no matter what, you are happy for your friend, but it comes off that you are sad for yourself, and that's okay. Because you can be sad.
So I did get the chance to see how I was actually doing on this topic, because you go through everyday life and you're not really thinking about it all the time. Things come up and you think about it. But my best friend since first grade is excitedly expecting. And she told me...
Which you can say because she posted the picture, right?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying her name here, so...
I understand, but still.
I don't know if she posted the picture, but she will be soon. So she's expecting, and she took me out to lunch to tell me, because obviously she knows of our situation. And in the moment with her, I was absolutely nothing but happy, and it made me feel so good, because I would see other pregnant women or hear of people I knew being pregnant, and I would immediately just start crying and be upset. And the moment she told me, I was nothing but happy. Like, she deserves this so much, and it made me feel so much better that I know now when Bear does get pregnant, I'm not going to just be sad for me. I'm going to be so thrilled for her. And yes, I left lunch with her, and on the way home, I did cry, and I had my moment of sadness for me, because that's always going to be there, because it was always what I wanted, and it's never going to go away. It is a feeling I've had for as long as I can remember, that I am supposed to be a mom, and I'm supposed to have a baby, and that is never going to be something that I don't feel. But like I said, you learn to live with it, and you learn to embrace the suck.
And move the fuck forward.
Exactly.
That's a great fucking quote. It's a great quote. It's my lifelong quote. Embrace the suck and move the fuck forward.
And honestly, I think we've done a pretty good job embracing the suck.
What else can you do?
Yeah.
And we can wallow in our self-pity, and sometimes we do that. That's not above us.
No.
Sometimes we have bad fucking days. Sometimes shit hits us harder. Like right now, we're dealing with this bullshit on top of King Arthur passing. Like we have a lot of fucking tragedy in our lives.
Yeah.
But you know what tragedy does? It brings you closer.
It makes you stronger.
It fucking sucks. Don't get me wrong. But you bond so much through tragedy. The fact that I got married at 21 and everybody was saying that I was stupid. The fact that I got married after dating a girl for 6 months, everybody said I was stupid. The fact that I barely know this girl, blah, 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 I'm stupid. My own friends didn't even show up to my fucking wedding, who are no longer my friends. My cousin and his buddy and Our mutual buddy at the time showed up in jeans to my fucking wedding. I'm not a fucking hillbilly. I wore a fucking suit. I got a nice fucking haircut. I wanted it to be nice. They showed up in fucking jeans. Like, everybody thought this wasn't going to fucking last. And after all of this shit, there is no doubt in my mind that I am going to be with this woman until the day that I die. Because there is nobody else in this world that gets me like she gets me. There is nobody else in the world that's been through what I've been through except for her. Like, the tragedy brought us so much closer together. I wish that it ended in different circumstances, for sure. I wish that I could give up everything that's ever been to give this woman a child. But I know for a fact that I will be by her side through anything that happens because we went through all of this.
I 100% agree.
And that, I think, is more fulfilling, and then, not obviously as having a child, but I think that's a lifelong fulfilling thing, because I will always do right by you, and I feel like you will always do right by me. So no matter what happens from here on out, as long as we hold that true, our life should be wonderful.
After going through what I would say is the hardest things, the last few tragedies were the hardest things we had to face in life. I'd say the two worst things is losing a parent and not losing a child / not being able to have a child. Those are probably the two worst things I have to go through in life. And we've been through them.
Yep.
And we've made it. And honestly, if I had to go through it with anybody, I'm glad that it was you. I wish that we hadn't gone through it, but never when we were going through the fertility stuff in my Facebook groups that I was a part of at the time, I would read all these horror stories of the husbands are leaving these women, like, in the middle of cycles and that kind of... Never in my mind would I have even thought that was something that you would do. And the fact that I had somebody like you to go through this stuff with just shows me what an amazing man you are.
Minus that little portion at the end, but I was the rock. I had to be the rock.
Yep.
You, first of all, you were pumped full of hormones, so you weren't thinking right.
And not only that, I'm not saying obviously what you went through was easier, because I know that it wasn't. I saw your struggles through it, but I had to deal with not only the emotional and financial toll of it, I had the physical toll of it. And yeah, you had some of the physical stuff, but even you've said it wasn't near as much as what I had to go through.
No, I had to give some blood, and I had to do it in a cup. To be honest,
you were so distraught
fucking
about
doing it in the cup
is
fucking weird. All right, everybody knows what you're doing in the room. Nobody wants to talk about what you're doing in the room, but go do it in that room, bitch. Now,
awkward.
Do it now. Do it now. Do it now.
That was while I was in with the egg retrieval, so I didn't even.
Yeah,
I was sleeping.
It was wonderful. It was great. I kind of forgot where we were.
But yeah, no. So, I mean.
Oh, so but I had to be the rock. Like there was no ifs, ands, or buts. That was my role in that whole scenario.
Yeah.
Like there was no other role to be, but I had to keep the machine running. The machine being you. I had to make sure that you were eating. I had to make sure that you were at least getting money to pay the bills. I had to make sure that everything was going okay around the house. I'm not trying to boost myself up, and I don't want any praise, and I don't want any thanks. But I knew that was my role.
Yeah, and people don't think about the fact that because physically I was going through it, like, I was just exhausted all of the time. So I didn't have the energy to do my normal daily stuff around the house. Like, I just did not have that energy. And had I not had you, like, a lot of people wouldn't pick up that slack. They'd just expect you to continue functioning the way that you normally do. And it's not possible or sustainable in that situation.
If anybody thinks that, they need a fucking reality check because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. There's no... If you see your significant other in pain, emotionally or physically, and you just think, like, buck up, champ, like...
You don't really love that person.
Sometimes there are certain situations where you gotta fucking tell your wife to buck up, champ.
Well, yes. Yeah,
sometimes they are emotional and they just don't know what the fuck they're saying, and they just need to get a fucking reality check themselves.
Yeah, woman hormones are fucking crazy.
But when you know something is going on and you just fucking turn your other cheek, like wash my dishes, do my laundry, fix me a sandwich, I'm fucking leaving. Fuck this bullshit. I don't want to do it no more.
That's not a good husband or partner.
That's fucking terrible. And if you get into this situation, I'm sorry, but you got to look at your relationships before you go into these things.
Yeah, there's no point in spending all that money if you're not going to make it through the process.
Yeah, and it's fucking tolling. So you need to have conversations, deep conversations, because there was many a times where we had some brawls in the middle of this. I've put some holes in some walls. I've said some degrading shit. Don't get me wrong. There have been breaks because this is strenuous. It's fucking stressful. And if you don't think you're not going to have a fight, like, you are out of your fucking mind. The woman's hopped up on hormones. You're going to fight.
You got to go in knowing that you both are in the most stressful situation you've ever been in. And if you can't have leeway with one another, you can't work out a fight, like, you're not going to make it through it, unfortunately.
If you can't have a civil conversation, you're not going to make it through.
Because, yes, we always fought, but it was made up by bedtime, because that has always been my
That is the rule.
Before we go to sleep, you make sure we are good. You don't know.
You might not make it till morning.
Tomorrow isn't a guarantee.
Yeah.
It is not. So do not spend any more time than needed being angry. Because it's not worth it in the end. It's really not.
Always kiss your loved ones, too.
Yeah, whether you're mad or not, kiss goodnight.
But anyway, that was our education on our situation. Hopefully we help a few people.
And that is why... to sum it back up to what we were talking about, I think more of this stuff needs to be taught in schools. I think, honestly, after having this whole conversation, the entire school system itself in the United States needs to be looked at and re-examined as a whole, because what's happening now, it's not working.
We're really using a system that's from the 1950s and saying it is good for today. And it's not.
It needs an update, an extreme update. And
it's not just computer programs that you can do in the classroom. You need a whole curriculum update.
Exactly. And people need to be willing to talk about this and understand that not everybody's going to agree. But if it's in the best interest of the kids, and if it will teach them the most diversity, if everybody wants all this diversity, if you want this diversity, you need to teach them all of these things.
Yes. And if there was nothing else that you got out of this, hopefully you understand our story a little bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully we connected with you a little bit. If there was one message, actually I have a couple messages off of this one. One is we have to revamp the entire curriculum of education. 2 is everybody that's going through miscarriages, everybody that's going through unexplained infertility, everybody that's going through IVF, anybody that's going through not the normal process of having a kid, start talking about it. This is going to be more prevalent than anybody realizes, and nobody's fucking talking about it. We need to talk about it now so that when a miscarriage happens, girls aren't freaking out. And you call the doctor, and the doctor says, "I'm so sorry, there's nothing he can do." You need to know that.
Yes.
Because there is no such heartbreak than realizing that this is all going away in front of you. It's fucking heartbreaking.
And even if you can't talk about it while it's happening, be okay to talk about it afterwards, even if it's with a support group.
It helps.
Just talk about it.
It helps.
Get it out.
This
Find the right people to talk to, but talk about it. It's normal, and it happens with more people than anyone realizes.
And this platform is a great platform. We are able to broadcast this. Many people aren't. But yeah, we need it. Whether you need to talk about it, therapy. This is therapy. Just talking about it makes it easier. It sounds counterintuitive, but it does. This is our therapy. This is what I do for therapy. I want to have conversations. That's my therapy. I like talking to people. And my third and final thought for this, and we will end on this, is don't go to bed angry. Kiss your loved ones. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. And to that, my Witta Army, my Leaving Earth listeners, y'all have a wonderful evening.
See ya.
Peace.